A very warm welcome and good morning on Morning Express Special Edition. Remember, you're watching Star Set on Galaxy News on Channel 500. And of course, I am Violethu Mgwelo. Now, let's take a look at our headlines this half an hour. The South African National Taxi Association declares war against Minister Mbalula, and victory for South African government as court rules in its favor over lockdown regulations. And the South African sex workers demand to be legalized and also given a COVID-19 relief funding, while the Competition Commission delighted over MTN/data price agreement, while the DBE tells the schools to buckle up on handling of COVID-19 as schools reopen. And Lazarus Chakwera sworn in as the new president of Malawi. And a long road ahead as COVID-19 statistics break 10 million cases globally. You know what? And Dalindyebo gets a new BMW as he resumes king duties. Now, this hour, King Buyelekhaya Dalindyebo has resumed his duties as the King of Abatembu after the Eastern Cape government communicated the news to him on Sunday. Xolile Nqatha, who's the MEC of Local Government and Traditional Affairs in the province, visited the King and Nkululekweni in Umtata to deliver the good news in person. The MEC also handed the King a brand new white BMW X4 SUV, a petrol card and cell phone as part of his working tools. Dalindyebo, who was in high spirits, was also given 3 support staff by the department. They will work in his administration office. Namhla Siwahla Dlulane, the director responsible for traditional leadership support coordination in the department, said the MEC went to Nkululekweni personally to deliver a letter signed by the Eastern Cape Premier Oscar Mbuyane, which confirms that King Buyelekhaya has resumed his duties as the king. Siwahla Dlulane said everything the government had done was based on the act which governs traditional leadership institutions. She confirms that Dalindyebo will also start receiving all his other benefits as soon as possible, including a 1.2 million rand salary and a 10,000 rand petrol allowance. Now, this comes after the government last week withdrew its services, including working tools, from former acting king Prince Zenathi following a dispute. June was the last month Zenathi was drawing a salary from the state. Last week, government took away the white Jeep SUV which had been driven by Zenathi. The young prince, whose paternity as Dalindyebo's son is being challenged after the king asked him for a DNA test following a public spat over the kingship, and had already challenged the recognition of his father by the provincial government after he submitted court papers at Umtata High Court. And the taxi owners have also vowed to fill the taxis to the brim as of today. And according to Santaco, President Philip Taibosh, taxi traveling long-distance routes will also be allowed to start traveling across the provinces without a permit. Taibosh warned that if any taxis were stopped by law enforcement and impounded, all taxis across the country will be parked where they were and will not move until the impounded taxis were released. The announcement comes after a series of consultations and postponements of meetings between taxi officials and the Minister of Transport, Fikile Mbalula.
We have decided that leadership of Santaco provinces must inform their structures that as from tomorrow, the 29th, that is Monday tomorrow, all taxis must load 100% capacity. Whether the minister approves or not approves, all taxis must load 100% capacity, and all long-distance taxis must resume operations as from tomorrow morning. And we are also indicating that no permits will be wanted from passengers who get into the long-distance taxis. This is a subject to the necessary safety measures that includes. This is a subject that also necessitates safety, which includes the following: wearing of masks in the taxis, which is compulsory in terms of the law, sanitation of taxis and commuters as they board taxis. For long-distance operators, and I want media to listen very carefully here, we say for long-distance operations, Marshals must ensure that all boarding commuters are screened and recorded, and that a proper filing system is kept safe. All regional taxi councils of respective long-distance taxis must be given a weekly report, of this information, including taxis that loaded. Associations.
Last week, taxi commuters were left stranded when the taxi drivers embarked on a strike, demanding more money from the minister, urging that 1.35 billion rands was not enough. Meanwhile, Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula applauded with the taxi industry to reconsider its announcement that taxis would operate at full capacity. And Sex Workers Education and Advocacy Task Force continues to call on government and businesses to provide relief programs for sex workers during lockdown. This comes as sex workers experience a significant drop in business due to imposed lockdown regulations. Now, under lockdown level 3, places of entertainment remain closed and the sale of alcohol is allowed to limited days. Now, these are some of the contribution factors that cause a loss of income for many workers. While the Sweat acknowledges that government provides financial relief for certain sectors, but the organization says sex workers are still left out in the cold. One of the contributing factors against sex workers' ability to make an income during COVID-19 is a phenomenon of social distancing, which is recommended to slow down the spread of COVID-19. Now, to add, the nature of sex workers' job requires bodily contact, which defies the very measures put in place to contain the virus. COVID-19 has had a negative bearing in all sectors of the economy, and including the beauty industry, restaurants, sports betting outlets, and members of the informal economy, to name a few. Now, to date, South Africa has a total of over 118,000 COVID-19 cases and over 59,974,000 recoveries and 2,292 deaths. Now, this is just the biggest jump in new infections since the pandemic hit. And we quickly go to...
Welcome to Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show.
It was a legacy left by the apartheid government.
Yeah.
It's very important that for business people, whether they are especially SMMEs, in doing business with developing countries.
The measurements, on the other hand, that have been introduced to deal with COVID-19 have harmed our economy beyond what I think has even been measured.
The giants like China realizing that the US and Europe are losing the grip in the world economy, and Africa was a playground.
Many of black people's small businesses in particular are not even registered.
Any country that has ever been reliant on IMF has never been able to come out.
Africa is indebted to Asia and Europe.
Welcome to Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show, a show that discusses economic fundamentals with a focus on small businesses. Tune into Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show on Galaxy Universal Network, channel 500 on Starset.
The power to defeat coronavirus is in our hands. Play your part by following these 5 basic precautions. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water or sanitizer for at least 20 seconds. Maintain a safe distance of at least 1.5 meters from people around you. Wear a cloth mask at all times when in public. Always cough or sneeze into your elbow or tissue. If you're an employer, screen your employees daily for symptoms of COVID-19 and where appropriate, refer for testing. Working together, we can beat the coronavirus. A message from government.
Experience the extraordinary.
I like you, girl, in particular. Yeah, you got that young.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
The National Coronavirus Command Council has decided to extend the nationwide lockdown by a further 2 weeks beyond the initial 21 days. This means that most of the existing lockdown measures will remain in force.
It's a combination of law enforcement agency. Our call is very clear. People must stay home, they must not be traveling unnecessarily.
This might last longer.
As you have heard it, we are still right here.
Reporting for Galaxy TV News.
Galaxy News.
Stay tuned with us.
The power to defeat coronavirus is in our hands. Play your part by following these 5 basic precautions. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water or sanitizer for at least 20 seconds. Maintain a safe distance of at least 1.5 meters from people around you. Wear a cloth mask at all times when in public. Always cough or sneeze into your elbow or tissue. If you're an employer, screen your employees daily for symptoms of COVID-19 and where appropriate, refer for testing. Working together, we can beat the coronavirus. A message from government.
And welcome back to Morning Express. Remember, you're still tuned to StarSat on channel 500. This is Galaxy News. And as I promised you guys before we went to a break that I have 2 special guests, but it's a whole entire group. But for now, we're going to be talking to Azania and to Real SA when it comes to their new song, What Shall We Do? And I think this is a song dedicated to you guys on how you can take care of yourself at this times of the pandemic. Now, welcome, guys, and thank you for joining us. We do appreciate your time. Now, tell us, what was the inspiration behind this song, and how did you guys come about into creating this song? We've seen that it's not just 2 of you guys, it's more than 4 people in the group. But tell us, what was the inspiration behind this?
It's actually more than 4 people. Hello, thank you for having us. It's actually more than 4 people. It's a lot of people. Initially, yes. And with a call from Umamba Tabile Dlamini of ukuthi kwenziwe ingoma that is going to create some kind of awareness around the pandemic, COVID-19. So our mama besixaxa ke bona being abantu abadala, so they would bathanda ukuthi babe ne, you know, vibe nyana. Then so they called us in, kuqale kanjalo nje, I think. So
Now, to Real, I know you are an independent artist. You have your own work that you do on the side, and having to work with such great people, how did that come about, and what was the inspiration, and how did you feel when you heard this news that now you have to be working with other people?
Yeah, they're the greatest. Like when they first called me and said, during this pandemic, we are creating a song which we're communicating with the people how they can take advice, how to be safe at home, stay with everything. So for me, to be the voice of the youth, they saw it as a great, a nice like a picture to paint out there, because bona like Badala, and they thought that because Badala, I mean, ingane bukithi like mama, okay, but bekhona umuntu or closest to untanga, they will actually have like in an ear.
Now, what's the one thing that pushed you guys when it comes to working during these times? Because we know a lot of artists, there's no work, there's literally you just pushing and pushing, but you don't even know how you're going to go and take it to radio stations or to TV stations. But what's that one thing that has pushed you guys at these hard times to continue doing what you guys love? I mean, being a creative, it just doesn't come like that. You need to think, and it also has to be something that you've experienced into your life. But how did you guys find?
I think it's what has always pushed us, because as a musician, it's never easy. Besides COVID, it's never easy. And what has always pushed you is what pushes you most now. To know, you know what, I enjoy what I'm doing, I'm passionate about what I'm doing, I need to keep moving, I need to pushing. So what has always pushed you now has to really push you really hard. And all you have to know, you know what, manje, you work, you don't sit. Besides, now we're not doing live shows that are probably gonna bring income, but now studio, work, do something, be creative, and there's something just that's gonna keep you going, sane, actually, exactly. So, yeah, passion.
And during this pandemic, I've realized something. Since I had a call with Mama Westlake, I realized there are more people at home. So when you do things online, you actually continuously doing what you've been doing. It's just that now we're not all together, but there are. I mean, it's not a back like a downfall, you know, because there's still people on social media. People want to know what's happening as they are home. They're sitting right there, because some other TV productions they are stopped, so they're wondering, they're figuring out what to watch since I'm here at home and everything. So if you continuously posting your work and everything, you'll get more audience, and I'm sticking to the positive side.
Now, sticking to the positive side, what's the one thing working with Abu Mama Westlake? I mean, they're old people, and now having to come, and now you're a young person, you're coming in, you're probably thinking like, there won't be any bond, there won't be any connection, but the song is such a great song, and I really didn't know that there were young people involved in the song, but to listen to it and to know very well that there's young people that are involved with these things, it's such a great thing. So what would you say to someone sitting at home who doesn't know what to do? Because a lot of people are complaining that there's nothing to do. You're just sitting at home and you're waiting for the government to give you the go ahead to do anything. So what would you say to someone who's sitting at home, who's also young, who wants to be involved in such things?
Firstly, before you answer, you must see our gogo behind. I mean, before we get a stage, gosh, you should see them putting on makeup.
Something that's more active than us.
Oh wow!
They're more active than us. I'm sorry to say that.
So I guess our Mama Westlake are more active than young people, and that's something that you will never expect from our Mama
Westlake. I was rapping just now, like, guys, I'm rapping. So it's joy,
But it's such an experience. It's such an experience where you explore that as a musician. You're not only around your circle, you know. It shows that you can work with a lot of people. You can just be out there, like get out of the box, you know?
Yeah.
And for a person who's at home, who thinks that there's actually nothing to do now that there's a lockdown and everything, there's so much to do. There's so much to do. Like, I know people don't like to be.
It's on your phone.
We have the gadgets.
I mean, we have no choice right now but to just be on social media and push your work on social media.
On this thing, yeah.
Yeah, but as there's so much at the same time, we have to think about the ones who don't have access to the internet and everything.
True.
So, as it's March, I mean, some would lack somewhere, but sticking to the positive side, they're still out there.
Well, guys, thank you so much for that time. We're going to quickly go to a short break. When we come back, we're going to bring more of the people. I hope Abu Mama Westlake are ready, because I've heard that they can rap. So I need someone who's going to push in and pumping those rap. And, you know, come on, pull up something. But we're going to quickly go to a break. When we come back, more of our the group of Abu Mama Westlake, and we've just spoke to you guys. Are you guys the youngest in the group, or what's happening?
Yeah.
So realize that you're probably the last born of the group. He's probably the last born of the group. But guys, we're going to quickly go to a short break. When we come back, more of this entertaining stories coming up.
Welcome to Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show.
It was a legacy left by the apartheid government.
Yeah.
It's very important that for business people, whether they are especially SMMEs, in doing business with developing countries.
The measurements, on the other hand, that have been introduced to deal with COVID-19 have harmed our economy beyond what I think has even been measured.
The giants like China realizing that the US and Europe are losing the grip in the world economy, and Africa was a playground.
Many of black people's small businesses in particular are not even registered.
Any country that has ever been reliant on IMF has never been able to come out.
Africa is indebted to Asia and Europe.
Welcome to Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show, a show that discusses economic fundamentals with a focus on small businesses. Tune into Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show on Galaxy Universal Network, channel 500 on StarSat.
The power to defeat coronavirus is in our hands. Play your part by following these 5 basic precautions. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water or sanitizer for at least 20 seconds. Maintain a safe distance of at least 1.5 meters from people around you. Wear a cloth mask at all times when in public. Always cough or sneeze into your elbow or tissue. If you're an employer, screen your employees daily for symptoms of COVID-19 and where appropriate, refer for testing. Working together, we can beat the coronavirus. A message from government.
Experience the extraordinary.
I like you, girl, in particular. Yeah, you got that young.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
And welcome back to Morning Express. Remember, still tuned to StarSat on channel 500 Galaxy News. And this is Morning Express. And now in our top stories, the Malawian Electoral Commission announced on Saturday that the opposition alliance leader, Lazarus Chakwera, was declared the victor of the nullified presidential election rerun on Sunday. Chakwera was sworn in as the president of Malawi in a ceremony attended by scores of Malawians. Now, according to the commission, Chakwera, who's 65, secured a win over outgoing Peter Mutharika with 57% of the votes. Now, earlier this year, the Southeastern African nation's top court had annulled Mutharika's win in the 2019 election, citing irregularities. Mutharika, who has been at the helm of presidency since 2014, had won the last year's election by a narrow 38.57% ahead of the 65-year-old's 35.1%. Now, in a statement before the election, results were released by the commission. Mutharika had described the latest election as the worst in Malawi's history after reports emerged that election monitors were beaten, hacked and abducted and intimidated, according to Mutharika, so that they are not participants, or rather no participants, in voting observation process.
Is destined.
Hallelujah.
For 26 years, Malawi's vice presidents have been mistreated, underutilized, harassed, and slandered. But God has given us Dr. Chilima, whose courage has confronted this disease and answered the call to cure it on behalf of all Malawians. That is destiny. For 26 years, Malawi's political parties and leaders have forged enmities, and their followers have had disputes.
Mutharika further added that many of the tally sheets did not have signatures, as monitors were in hospitals and could not be present to endorse the results. However, battling a different tune, the election's current victor, Chakwera, who is expected to be sworn in on Sunday late, said he was delighted of the outcome. As we've promised you guys, that Morning Express is bringing you a little bit of difference this morning as we are bringing you the special edition of Morning Express. Now, joining me is Abo Mama Besixaxa, as we're going to be talking about their new song, What Shall We Do, which is a representation of, rather, a message of these times that we're going through of COVID-19. Welcome, and thank you for joining us, Abo Mama. We do appreciate your time. We want to talk about the inspiration. Ukuthi isuke kanjani ukuthi lengoma izibe khona and ukuthi ngisebenze nabantu abancane at this time. How was it and how was the experience?
Mamje siyabonga. Kube umsebenzi omuhle kodwa obuvele kumama wamakhosikazi upresident uBathabile Dlamini ukuthi aloka sitshela sithi hayibo nathula nje emakhosikazi nibona ukuthi sifo sikhona nenza ngathi ke manje anisekho nani sifuna abanitshela abantwana ukuthi kwenzakalani okusijabulise kakhulu ukuthi akuthatha yona neyouth sathi ayize la sizonibonisa ngoba uyazi ukuthi khamba ubani onkunzimalanga Simba igo.
No, ngokusebenza nabantu abancane bekunjani, because sometimes uyahlala abantu abancane they probably think ukuthi ukusebenza nabo mama iba indlela ukuthi kuyabhora, there's no fun in anything. So the experience ukuthi kunalabantu abancane and then again kunabantu abadala, but then vibe yeyabanjani, because ngikhulumile no Thuril no Nazane and they were like actually ingathi youth yini kahle nje so ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi le vibe isuka kuphi kuqhubeka kanjani nisebenza kanjani nabantu abancane kuba njani.
I was about to say that actually ingathi ithe see youth yeah. Because it's very easy to work with this because siyalingana nabo I mean we are on the same level of, you know, when you're an artist you stay young all the time. Ngivele mangena manje bese
ngivele ukuthokona nomrapper apha kutha ama raps ayaphuma ama buzz left right and center lapha ngoma.
So it's very amazing how the music industry sisebenza ngakhona because we can easily communicate with any kind of music nokuthi nabobani. Yeah, you have to be open.
Ngathi COVID-19 isisebenzele.
Yeah.
Ngoba sikwazi ukuthi sidibane nabantwana bethu and bakwazi ukubheka. Sabona iside besingaliboni. Nabasekudeni wazi ukuthi bayazi ukuthi nikhona. Kodwa nabafika basebalingana nathi. Nabo base bayakhulu baba bancane baba youth njengathi. Uyabona ngoba
so ukubizwa umama uBathabile Dlamini and I'm sure futhi nani benothukile ukuthi and then kanjani, but then yena njengoba umama ophethe singathi ukuthi ukuba ne relationship naye futhi ukunibiza kunibona ukuthi vele ngabo mama abakhoya mara nithule nihlela nenzi nix waselanibiza. So lengoma ye COVID-19 ifike kanjani ukuthi now we're going to be working nabantu abancane, but then obviously ayisingoma ukuthi abantu abancane kuphela yomhlaba wonke. So ukufikela lapho ukuthi siyayibhala lengoma iyaphuma yaba yile ndlela ingakho kwenzeke kanjani.
Like umama asho ukuthi umama Bathabile ne just uze an idea and then there is kunalo butches on the same package untokozo from Gwistimela uye oze nge rhythm. He's the man behind
this whole song.
The whole yeah wenza ingoma. Yeah, support sithola kuye like the rhythms and then thina siza ngama with the lyrics and all. Yeah.
Mama
into esithandayo kakhulu ukuthi umama uthena kasho sabona ukuthi ekesisho nasiqhamuka sekuqhamuka nabantwana babona ukuthi sibambisene akusiyona impi ye youth le akusiyona impi yabantu abadala silwa nento esingayiboni sonke asizama ukumemeza ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi abanye abasekudeni babone ukuthi ikhona lento njengoba siyaphikisana nje ukuthi hayi iphi angiyiboni ikhona
like as I'm sitting here my mother-in-law passed away yesterday from this COVID-19, so we're burying her tomorrow.
Condolences.
So it's really it is there.
It is there.
So I'm a living witness. It's there. It's not a joke.
Now, Kani, since umsebenzi wenu ngoba I'm sure umama Bathabile bengekanfonile nje engayazi ukuthi vele anina input ongeke nikwazi ukufaka I exposure when it comes to young people futhi nabantu abadala basemakhaya, but then nokusebenza nabantu abancane umama ezuchila ukuthi you've experienced it ubonile ukuthi le virus ukuthi khona. So umuntu ohlele ekhaya who's sitting at home right now othi ayikho le virus ngiyaqhubeka mina ngobomi bami ngiyazenzela konke ngifuna ukuzenzela khona, ungathini message ongayisho kubabukela abasekhaya futhi ukuthi bangaqhubeka kanjani ukuzinakekela at these times?
Stay at home, sanitize your hands, keep social distance.
Mama, ukwenza ukuthi abantu babone ukuthi kwenzakalani nanihamba asiuhloniphe umthetho, asiuhlaniphe umlayezo enike nisitshele wona. Sithe namhlanje abantwana bathe eke senze leyo nto leyo ngoba angeke nimemeze kungekho umsindo. Fanele simemeze ngoba umningi umsindo semva kwenu ukuthi kuzwakale lezi ikhona lento. Athi umuntu ngifuna ukuyibona uzoyibona kanjani? Nase bakhona abanye bathi ikhona, ithatha uthi ikhona. Nibambisa sizobambisana kulento sikwazi ukuphumelela.
Now ma ungathini ku government wethu njengoba siphila kulesi sikhathi sinjena kunabantu abahlele endlini abasakwazi nokurecord abasakwazi ukuthengisa umculo wabo akusayenzeki nix, literally abantu yonke into is on standstill. So ungathini ku government ukuthi anganisiza kanjani ukuthi umsebenzi iqhubeka isenzeke ukuthi njengama artists it doesn't mean ukuthi ngalesi sikhathi umuntu melahlala angaseyenzi nix, but as an artist also crying out ku government ungathi government anganisiza kanjani njengama artists ngoba kumele bekhona, kumele futhi asize futhi nama artists ukuthi akuvela ukuthi nje kanjalo ukuthi utshela abantu ukuthi sanitize, sit at home and isolate, but kumele afake isandla sakhe futhi naye abe khona ngoba abantu emakhaya futhi abantu abaningi abazi ukuthi le covid noba yini, abazi ukuthi isuka kuphi, but bayaphila nje bayaqhubeka. But ungathini ukuthi government ukuthi anincede anisize njengama artists?
I can say government angasiza ngokuthi asincedise, asina zinto zokusebenza, we don't have the tools, so that because some artists, we are the people through music, people do listen to music, and if cinema resources, the government can just help us with the resources, and then we can easily sikwazi nokuncedisa to pass the message to the people that can be stronger through music.
Well, okay guys, bachila abo mama besixaxa, and we just don't stop there. We are going to go to a quick break. When we come back, more of the group members are going to be joining us, but you need to sit down, stand still, throw away that remote because a performance is going to follow. Let's quickly go to a break.
Welcome to Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show.
It was a legacy left by the apartheid government. It's very important that for business people, whether they are especially SMMEs, in doing business with developing countries.
The measurements, on the other hand, that have been introduced to deal with COVID-19 have harmed our economy beyond what I think has even been measured.
The giants like China realizing that the US and Europe are losing the grip in the world economy, and Africa was a playground.
Many of black people's small businesses in particular are not even registered.
Any country that has ever been reliant on IMF has never been able to come out.
Africa is indebted to Asia and Europe.
Welcome to Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show, a show that discusses economic fundamentals with a focus on small businesses. Tune into Amandla Omnoto Business Talk Show on Galaxy Universal Network, channel 500 on Starset.
The power to defeat coronavirus is in our hands. Play your part by following these 5 basic precautions. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water or sanitizer for at least 20 seconds. Maintain a safe distance of at least 1.5 meters from people around you. Wear a cloth mask at all times when in public. Always cough or sneeze into your elbow or tissue. If you're an employer, screen your employees daily for symptoms of COVID-19 and where appropriate, refer for testing. Working together, we can beat the coronavirus. A message from government.
Remember, you're still tuned to Galaxy News on Starset channel 500, and this is Morning Express. Remember, we promised you guys that we have Morning Express special edition. Now, joining me is still a part of the members from the song What Shall We Do, which is a representation and a message to when it comes to COVID-19 as we are dealing with such times at this pandemic. Now, joining me is Mr. Ntokozo Zungu, who is the lead guitar, and also OG Champ Drenko. We'll be talking about what was the inspiration behind the song and how did they feel working with, I'm not going to say Abo Mama about that, I'm going to say the young youth, as Abo Mama Sklakla corrected me earlier on. Now, guys, thank you so much for joining us and thank you for your time. You are the lead guitar in the whole band, and I know ukuthi nihlangane niyenze ingoma lena What Shall We Do was because uMama Bathabile Dlamini had called and said everyone is sitting down and enzeni into. So ukubizwa kwakho, how did you feel? It's okay, you're going to be part of this song, you're going to be a lead guitar. How was that experience? Waziva kanjani?
No, kuzuthi ukhuluma noma uBathabile wakhuluma no Mama uSesuneli wezamambo. So uSesuneli wangifonela ukuthi okay Ntokozo, you can try rhythm. Kune idea ekhulunywa president uMama Bathabile. So ngahlala phansi ngacabanga irhythm ukuthi okay silokhu sidibana, but then getting some other guys but azikho lapha like keyboardist and bassist, good guys kune project so bafuna imali guys, this akunamali lapha, it's just awareness because kunalesi sifo, but everybody he joined and then saqala ukuyenza ingoma ngayithumelela uSesuneli ukuthi okay akahambe, but no I right because iqala ke sokubhalelwa phezulu kwayo. Understand that? Sure.
Now, Drenko, tell us your part in the song. I know there's Two Real SA, there's Nazania, there's also Utonik Pala, but then you come into the song, you've been called Uguti, okay, na ingoma, asenzeni something. What was how did you feel when you were called? Because also coming to think of it, working with abantu abadala and then there's young people also, you don't think you can, like sometimes ukuthi ngakhona vibe or ningasebenza kahle, but how has the experience so far been for you?
Yeah, first of all, ngithanda pick up ku Hotman, like ngithema ngizwe ingoma ngizwa ngomanager wami uAlex Mbatha. Ngezwa the sound tin 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 tin. You know, so mina I'm quite a legend ngabeka kanjalo. So working nabantu abadala like kungifundisa izinto eziningi and kwangibonisa ukuthi you know you are a musician, you're not just a kwaito artist, you are a musician, because if ngezwa iverse lami li inspire umthandazo ngomuntu othanda umkhuleko kakhulu. So I thought ukuthi kule ngoma le ngicela ukufaka uNkulunkulu kancane at the same time ngifake nawo wonke umuntu, because iverse lami I'm talking about sanitizer boy, sanitizer girl, fake mask umuntu omdala ungakhohlwa ukugeza izandla, you know. So ngithi uNkulunkulu bafethu asimbekeni because the sifa sibonakali, there's a part esho laphayana. So I think nje we really need si abantu somphakathi sihlangane ngomkhuleko kakhulu more than anything. We sanitize, yes, we keep social distancing. Manje sinenkinga yabo taxi driver ukuthi balwana nohulumende. So akusena social distance like we siyalimala kakhulu.
Now, coming from quite a background and then having to jump into this point of view, was it difficult to gel in, or it was a flow? It was a flow.
Yeah, like the sound, like automatically one idea because liyakhuluma nalo, you know. Yeah, so bekungekho nzima kakhulu because I'm a writer. Yeah, I'm a writer more than anything. Ngithanda ukubhala. So ngiyangayibhala ngayibona ukuthi iyangena. Yeah, but it's something new. Yeah, to experiencing that. This was something big food. Yeah.
Now Babu Zungu, a lead guitar. I mean, I was trying something lapo before sinbize nizos performela yonke lapho. Bongekore ngiyakuthusa nje kancane.
Lena ikhona ukuthi acoustic, lena is electric.
Akunankinga. Kodwa before ngizonibiza nini so that you can perform for us. Ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi ukusebenza nabantu abancane, umuntu ohlele ekhaya obukela namhla because abantu abancane are still I think ukuthi akuna COVID, akuna nisi, abantu bayaqhubeka njengobomba abagqoka ama mask, futhi sibonile ukuthi nabantu manje ama taxi drivers are starting to fight nohulumende ngoba abazitholi lezi zinto abazifuna. So they're just taking izinto back ukuthi akuna COVID. Ungathini kumuntu ohlele ekhaya still ongabelieve ukuthi akuna COVID, but then ngoba nina nikhona nayi nengoma ikhona usho ukuthi ikhona ke lento, ungathini kumuntu ohlele emakhaya ngalomzuzu?
Ngicela ukuthi bezinakekele kakhulu lento lena ikhona then ayibonakala yabamba oyi1 yonke family izoba affected. So ngempela kufanele ukuthi siqaphele somphakathi sonke se South Africa la South Africa ukuthi singakhohlisana ukuthi lento ayikho. Isibulale, I'm sure everybody bayezwa nakuma radio ukuthi sesamjelwe imphakathi engakanani esishiyile ngalento lena.
Dranko, your message?
Yeah, message kahle ngithanda ukukhuthaza abafethu, ngikhuthaza ama fellow musicians. Siyazi ukuthi isinkwa abafethu asinaso lapha emakhaya, special sina sicula kule ndawo ezivaliwe abafethu. Bethi ngikhuthaza nabantu boma taxi driver abafethu, cela nani nifakeni isandla kule nto leyo because nathi siyasifaka isandla, sinayo ingoma, sinibonisa ukuthi lento ikhona iyaphila, singameli ukuthi ifana ne-HIV size sibona abantu bashona phambi kwethu. Asithatheni serious. Nami ngila ngiyangasuka ekhaya ngena sinkwa ngathazini ayibhadali le project but nakho ngila ngiyayichubekisa ngithi bafethu, let's keep on sanitizing and sifakeni ama mask and social distance.
Well, thank you so much, guys. We do appreciate that time. We're going to quickly go to a short break. When we come back, I am not promising anything, but I am saying stay tuned and stay touched. Do not touch that dial. Morning Express on StarSat Channel 500. More of these coming up.
Welcome to Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show.
It was a legacy left by the apartheid government. It's very important that for business people, whether they are especially SMMEs, in doing business with developing countries.
The measurements, on the other hand, that have been introduced to deal with COVID-19 have harmed our economy beyond what I think has even been measured.
The giants like China realizing that the US and Europe are losing the grip in the world economy, and Africa was a playground.
Many of black people's small businesses in particular are not even registered.
Any country that has ever been reliant on IMF has never been able to come out.
Africa is indebted to Asia and Europe.
Welcome to Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show, a show that discusses economic fundamentals with a focus on small businesses. Tune into Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show on Galaxy Universal Network, Channel 500 on StarSat.
power to defeat coronavirus is in our hands. Play your part by following these 5 basic precautions. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water or sanitizer for at least 20 seconds. Maintain a safe distance of at least 1.5 meters from people around you. Wear a cloth mask at all times when in public. Always cough or sneeze into your elbow or tissue. If you're an employer, screen your employees daily for symptoms of COVID-19 and where appropriate, refer for testing. Working together, we can beat the coronavirus. A message from government.
Experience the extraordinary.
I like you, girl, in particular. Yeah, you got that young.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
The National Coronavirus Command Council has decided to extend the nationwide lockdown by a further 2 weeks beyond the initial 21 days. This means that most of the existing lockdown measures will remain in force.
It's a combination of law enforcement agency. Our call is very clear. People must stay home. They must not be traveling unnecessarily.
This might last longer. As you have heard it, we are still right here reporting for Galaxy TV News. Galaxy News.
Stay tuned with us.
Welcome to Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show.
It was a legacy left by the apartheid government.
Yeah.
It's very important that for business people, whether they are especially SMMEs, in doing business with developing countries.
The measurements, on the other hand, that have been introduced to deal with COVID-19 have harmed our economy beyond what I think has even been measured.
The giants like China realizing that the US and Europe are losing the grip in the world economy, and Africa was a playground.
Many of black people's small businesses in particular are not even registered.
Any country that has ever been reliant on IMF has never been able to come out.
Africa is indebted to Asia and Europe.
Welcome to Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show, a show that discusses economic fundamentals with a focus on small businesses. Tune into Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show on Galaxy Universal Network, channel 500 on StarSat.
The power to defeat coronavirus is in our hands. Play your part by following these 5 basic precautions. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water or sanitizer for at least 20 seconds. Maintain a safe distance of at least 1.5 meters from people around you. Wear a cloth mask at all times when in public. Always cough or sneeze into your elbow or tissue. If you're an employer, screen your employees daily for symptoms of COVID-19 and where appropriate, refer for testing. Working together, we can beat the coronavirus. A message from government.
Experience the extraordinary.
I like you, girl, in particular. Yeah, you got that young.
Challenge your ordinary. Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
And welcome back to our last segment on Morning Express. Remember, you're still tuned to Galaxy News on StarSat, channel 500. And as I've promised you before we went to a break, I did say we're going to leave you with such a performance as we are fighting COVID with music. Other than that, I'm going to leave them so they can spread the love to you guys. I'm out.
Welcome to Amandla Omnoto Business Talk Show.
It was a legacy left by the apartheid government.
Yeah.
It's very important that for business people, whether they are especially SMMEs, in doing business with developing countries.
The measurements, on the other hand, that have been introduced to deal with COVID-19 have harmed our economy beyond what I think has even been measured.
The giants like China realizing that the US and Europe are losing the grip in the world economy, and Africa was a playground.
Many of black people's small businesses in particular are not even registered.
Any country
Yeah.
that has ever been reliant on IMF has never been able to come out.
Africa is indebted to Asia and Europe.
Welcome to Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show, a show that discusses economic fundamentals with a focus on small businesses. Tune into Amandla Omnotho Business Talk Show on Galaxy Universal Network, channel 500 on Starset.